I could have pulled. Then again, that would be a smart idea. I could pull that. My shot creator okay. Gotta get a new controller. My controller is so bad right now. He really could have pulled that. Nope. That shouldn't even hit rim. My dude can dunk. He don't dunk like that though. I wanted to see if you could make a small forward shot creator because I had a playmaking shot, but I don't know, man. 2K21, I'm not getting that. I'm being dead serious. I'm not getting it because, like, to me, I'm not really impressed. Like, 2K can't do that, but so much, honestly, in my opinion. And that's saying something. That's really saying something, in my honest opinion. There's a lot of games I can't even justify like spending $70. It's not because I'm broke or anything like that, but you just really can't pay $70 or something. In a sense, you know, you don't get delivered on the product. Like, okay, have thought out ideas and certain stuff, and then you know you have to play it for a year. And 2K, in my opinion, I mean, I enjoy 2K, but I can't play this game more than like I can't fathom playing it for more than like maybe 20 minutes or so. But I'm playing it now because I haven't played it in a while. And then Fortnite, in my honest opinion, Fortnite just got to a point where I'm just like, I'm almost done with it. Being completely honest. Not bad at it, but I just think that's pretty... In all honesty, you can't play a game that's not delivering at all. What I mean delivering, okay, updates, bounces, tweaks, certain stuff like that, but if you play a game for, I would say, a game life cycle is maybe 10 months, and in between like the 5 months mark, if it's not any updates or anything, any gameplay changes and certain stuff, a lot of games to me are running like betas, completely honest. There's a lot of games and certain stuff. I know someone said that 2K, which one was it? It was like, I don't know. Yeah, it was 2K14. There we go. It was 2K14. 2K. Someone said 2K14 had the best graphics. Now that's a lie. Like, you can't even believe that. So, my honest opinion, if you think about it, like 2K in a sense, the thing about it is once you know you play 2K past a certain extent, or just certain stuff like that. In 2K14, I think the biggest problem was with that is the game came out a little bit too fast, in my opinion. Was it different from PS3? I know PS3 was gonna be trash, but like not to the extent that, I don't know, the same stuff. I felt dumb for buying the I feel dumb for buying it on PS3 at that time because the thing about it, I bought it, I played it for like 2 months and stuff like that. I think I got to like 89 overall, and I played for the Thunder on PS3 on 2K14. And then the next thing I know, like a couple months later, I get the PS4 and certain stuff like that. And I mean, in my honest opinion, the bar to me is really set low. It really doesn't matter. The bar stuff is set low. Because the content and certain stuff, who wants to pay $70 for a game? That's how much games are going for. and it's a big improvement. I think so, but then again, I'm not even excited for 2K. Honestly speaking, I'm being honest. Because to me, a lot of games and stuff is like under delivering. Like, I think the only game that I'm really kind of excited for is what is it? It's Deathloop. That's one of the games I'm looking forward to. So I don't even really play 2K, and I haven't been on the game in like a couple days. Like I was on the game for like 5 days. I think a lot of games and certain stuff, I think I done played it for what it's worth, and then I feel like it's no use. Well, I wouldn't say no use. It's just the fact that once you play a game in a certain, so there's less and less to be offered. I do think, cause like the thing about 2K at least, you got a whole lot of people like me trying on different builds and certain stuff, keep the game fresh. There was nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's still nothing wrong with that. But I feel like a lot of stuff after a while is going to get old, just off the principle. The game, it's just a game. I feel like under delivering and overselling a product. That's what 2K is doing good. And pretty much a lot of games are doing. Under delivering and what you call it, overselling a product that isn't even fully done. Someone told me that Mortal Kombat and stuff is good. I mean, everybody has their opinion. I think Mortal Kombat is a good game, but otherwise than that, I mean, there's almost no reason to even play it. If you think about it, 9 times out of 10, a lot of games have broken mechanics. They have a lot of stuff like 2K has broken physics, in my opinion. There's a lot of games that, even certain stuff, you have to be tactical in fighting games and getting people in traps. Like the type of traps I'm talking about is like, in a sense, there's certain stuff like people's hitboxes and certain stuff is broken, or their fatal blow is ridiculous. I feel like that's what makes Mortal Kombat not even playable or enjoyable, really, if you think about it. Because once you play a game past a certain point and you done got what you done got out of it, like I said, you know, the updates are lackluster. The community engagement is pretty much low. To me, games are overselling and under delivering a majority of the time. If you really had to think about it, how many times do you see people, like even companies, engaging in new content besides clothes, skins, and cosmetics? Not that much. There's nothing wrong with that. I understand people gotta have like business and certain stuff like that to make their money, but some of this stuff is just greedy. I mean, if you pay like $70 for a game, and then you're getting squeezed for every little bit of like dollars you got, I mean, that's kind of on you per se, but at the same time, it shouldn't be to a point where you got to spend $50. I mean, I haven't spent money on my players that I made, including this player. I've worked on it. My paint defender is like a 97 still, so I worked on him. Didn't spend no VC. Was building him from the ground up. And I only made that build for what you call it, Rush 1v1. So I'm just working on this. Maybe not for Rush, but I mean, if I want to take it out there, I can. But it's ridiculous. But my thing is, like, I'm not really even too excited to buy a game that's overselling and under delivering. Like 9 times out of 10, it's just hype. Like I think Mortal Kombat, I was like, I did spend, I wouldn't say that much money, because like I said, I probably only spent like $14 on that game, because I do buy a lot of games and stuff, and I get points and rewards from like Sony rewards, stuff like that. But in a way, I don't know, there's not that much stuff that I feel like people gonna be able to do in a sense. Because people and stuff is getting laid off left and right. Honestly, this year's a L. It's almost like 60 million people. So if that happens and stuff like that, and it's like 300 and something million, I think it's like 313 million or something. I could be wrong, but that's a good fraction of people don't have jobs, so their benefits and stuff is gone. And then the pandemic unemployment assistance, people getting $600 a week, that's going to be cut out. And some people still ain't got their coronavirus relief fund money. I know for being a college student, I got like $700, but that's not the point in my opinion. That man has a horrible jump shot. But I don't know, man. There's just a lot of stuff that I don't really. I mean, it's not hard to comprehend, but it's just like a lot of stuff. In my honest opinion, a lot of stuff is baseless. Like planning out certain stuff. Like I don't know. Maybe not like graduating. Like if you talk about school, you don't need college. I mean, that's all relative. You know, I don't really know that many people doing well and stuff like that without college. People say college is a piece of paper. It's not. I mean, you don't have to go to college to start a business, but at the same time, a lot of people's business and their personal skills are really lacking or lackluster. I mean, my honest thing, like, you know, there's a lot of stuff I just don't really do. Like commission-based jobs, I'm not really a fan of those. Because at some point, like, a lot of people know this stuff, like the quality of products and certain stuff is cheap or just not as advertised, in my honest opinion. And then, you know, you have to smile, you have to do certain stuff, and I'm not the type of person to do that. I don't try to be disingenuous about certain stuff. A lot of stuff to me also squeezes a lot of money. In a sense, like, for a game, a AAA publisher, like 2K, I'm looking forward to the Prelude. The Prelude is honestly, it will determine whether or not I buy the game. And I don't want no little demo. I don't want that crap where you try out the builds. I want the Prelude. I at least want maybe 8 hours of gameplay. I want 8 hours of gameplay and a hub where I get to put my mod player or in a drill or something like that. I wish you have like a training camp. I mean, they could have done that relatively speaking this year, but then again, I wouldn't say it was bad. But a lot of stuff, you really had to think about it. I mean, this game right here isn't bad, but it's definitely a port of 2K19. Nobody can tell me it's not a port of 2K19. It's an exact port. And there are limitations with this thing, so I don't think that 2K21 is going to be but so better in a sense, because you obviously got certain stuff. And the graphic limitations stuff they got and the gameplay. Like Black Ops 2 was not optimized to be on PS3 by any means. Like Transit Zombies actually pushed the specifications and certain stuff like that for current, well at that time current gen. Because you couldn't really do that, but so much like in Transit, the like lava and certain stuff was actually trying to slow down because the game would crash. That's what happened in the game. Because that's the graphics and the denizens too. The denizens stopped the game from crashing too. So I really don't expect any type of games, honestly speaking, to be good. Relatively speaking, I mean PS5, sure. I'm probably gonna get maybe a total of like 3 games. 2K is not gonna. It's probably gonna be the dead last one. I don't really have my hopes up. And the only reason why I put it like that is because once you spend money on a game, like I said, you already know one of three things. You pay a steep price. They always have the deluxe editions of certain stuff like that. Monetization. The thing about it is there's a lot of stuff that they reduce payout in the game, like an in-game currency. Like you could play the game for like 6 to 8 hours and certain stuff like that. You don't really have any VC. But there's a whole lot of stuff, especially with me, that I know. They used to have a lot of VC, like on 2K14 on PS4. They had that My Team glitch where you basically create like a franchise, or it's like a downloaded thing. You meet the objectives, and that probably gave you like I would say about, they patched it a number of times, but at least gave you like 1,400 at the time VC in like 5 to 7 minutes. And that was decent. But you couldn't do it like, you could do it like maybe 2 times, then you had to repeat it like every 30 minutes because it wouldn't work. I think my GM and stuff has definitely went down. Over a period of time, a lot of stuff has went down. And in all honesty, I think a lot of stuff is really like, I don't know. I wouldn't say staged or nothing like that, but at the forefront of a lot of stuff, like buying games and you see certain stuff, I feel like a lot of stuff's not representative of actually what you're going to get, like a final product. Like that 2K gameplay that they released, 2K knows what they're doing. I'm not pre-ordering it, I'm being honest. The same thing I did with for 2K20. I wait to the last minute to pre-order. I have no doubts about that. Like, I feel like that was good at the time because to me, I had to stretch my dollars and certain stuff like that. And for what it's worth, I built my player from like the ground up. My like first build, sharpshooting facilitator. I spent only $10. Dude went from 74. I got him to like at 80 in like the first week, but that was like one day. It wasn't that hard, but at the same time, I really do feel like people shouldn't skip the mod player stuff, in all honesty, because you get your badges faster, and it's like, I know they had to put the sliders and stuff out completely different so people can get their badges and certain stuff, but that's besides the point. Like, a lot of stuff, in my honest opinion, like, if you play the game, in a sense, or any game, and there's a lack thereof of content and certain stuff like that, and you starting to see there's a pattern. But just like the developers and certain stuff are not really caring. And, the end product is maybe a bad video game in a sense. They're sinking ship. That's what 2K18 was. I think everything, relatively speaking, from that point on, 2K17 I think was a terrible game, honestly speaking, because you had unrealistic certain stuff, like people dribbling out the shot clock. People say you can't guard it. Well, it's not really the fact you couldn't guard it. It's just that you give access to people to too many tools, and then at the cost of nothing. Like, at least 2K, in a sense, people can dribble, but if you don't have certain badges and certain stuff, you're obviously going to lose stamina and certain stuff. Like, another thing I like to see in 2K, in all honesty, too, is where someone reaches a certain number of times. Like, there's no reason for people to have unpluckable, only for it like to, it really, unpluckable doesn't do but so much. It just helps you move the ball out the way, but it also stops your dribble. Why should that even happen? Why should that even happen? You're giving people, you're not even playing defense, it's reach fence. So, like that right there. But that's besides the point. I know they said you're supposed to get some type of storyline for 2K. To me, the storyline is interesting, but at the same time, it doesn't really add anything different to school. in a sense, like your school selection. Because I remember when they had like a handful of stuff for 2K16, certain stuff like that. 2K16, I legitimately love 2K16. 2K16 had the perfect balance of certain stuff, in my opinion. But the only thing I could probably say about 2K16, in a sense, it was a very good game. But people talk about the speed boost and certain stuff. I really didn't have a problem with 2K16. The only thing I probably had a problem with is just like I would feel like there's a lot of stuff. Like my team has also become a problem. Like just the way it's been gradually decreasing over time. Like I would say the fact that it's squeezing money out of people in a sense, there's nothing wrong with that, except the fact that everything is based off of microtransactions. I don't think that's really okay. Like people say that you can get a nice my team, but honestly, I used to be one of those people. I used to play domination. I used to do everything. I beat historic domination. I forgot which game. Yeah, I played 2K17. I played like a lot of the stuff. 2K18 I really didn't care for that much. I mean, I quit getting 99 as soon as I got to like 95. Could have got it because I was like 50% to like 96 on my way there, but the double rep, I would probably go up 1.2. Maybe not 1.2. I'll probably go up 0.6 an hour on a 48-minute or hour game, basically. Someone told me I didn't have to do that, though. I did listen to certain stuff you do to step back. I probably got like 70,000 XP for a game because I just used to just shoot. I can't believe you bricked that. I can sell my. I might just do that. I know people talking about PS5. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't think there's not gonna be no Black Friday at all this year. There's not gonna be no Halloween. There's not gonna be anything. And me personally, I really don't care. Certain stuff. I feel like the biggest thing too. A lot of people need to just stop saying the economy. The economy has been a sinking ship for a while. And a lot of stuff has been a sinking ship, honestly speaking. But, me personally, I mean, certain stuff, if I had to think about it, I don't think, basically, in my honest opinion, that, you know, some of these jobs and stuff is coming back. And that's just my personal belief. Ooh. I should have probably quit what you call it, bailout. I'll probably do that later, but keep playing the game for a little bit. I've been asleep all day. Majority of the time I've been asleep, so. I feel like most of the time, especially with some of the stuff that's been going on, especially people talking about jobs. Thing about it, a lot of stuff, who's really honestly transacting business? Honestly speaking, commission-based job like cable, working for a cable company. I said Jerry West. People talk about certain stuff like moving companies. Nobody's really moving, or certain stuff like that. Furnishings. Honestly, a lot of stuff is cheap. This is cheap. There's no reason why certain stuff, like a set of certain stuff, should cost $600. That's not me being cheap. There's some of this stuff, obviously, even stuff like mattresses. Honestly speaking, we know that stuff wears out over time, and it just gradually goes down. It just breaks down. There's nothing wrong with that in a sense, but like warranty. You get a manufacturer's warranty on certain stuff, but after a while, if a place is defunct or just winds up getting acquired by somebody, they're not gonna have that stuff in the system. Just like if you pre-order something at a store or certain stuff like that, you put something on hold, and you're paying the stuff, and the place closes down, and there's no other location. You're not getting your money back. I mean, for what it's worth, in a sense, that's pretty wrong. It's pretty foul, but I mean, a lot of the stuff, if places and stuff go out of business, I hate to say it, what's the difference between some people's business and other people's business, especially if it's terribly run? Like if you play certain stuff, or let me think about something too, or a moving company. Like moving company and certain stuff, I know they have some type of liability stuff. You shouldn't trust certain people with your stuff, relatively speaking. Not saying it's gonna get stolen, but certain stuff is fragile, that's what you call it. You have antiques or something, stuff like that. Or you have vases and certain stuff like that. It don't contain ashes or anything like that, but pretty fragile thing. Like one time I went to this place, and they had it was a hotel. It's like Waldorf Astoria in New York. That's probably good 9 years ago. So I went in there. That this little thing where this man, he had he had certain stuff. He showed pictures of royalty who stayed there, like Queen of England, certain stuff like that. Like maybe in the 40s, maybe not the 40s, but maybe 1950s and stuff like that. How people just stayed there. The thing about hotels, in my honest opinion, a lot of this stuff just outdated. Like a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff can carry a reputation, but at the same time, relatively speaking, a lot of stuff is just not. It's not really worth some of the stuff. Like places could have been good, and maybe it's renowned for something, but if you think about it, just living off name only, it's not a phenomenal thing. It's just nominal at most. Because it's really not going to be any improvement, relatively speaking. There's another place I could probably think of, but back to what I'm saying about the place. If this was a place, if you knock something over, you buy it. And a lot of stuff in there was between 70,000 upwards to maybe 600,000. The thing, it was so compact in there, you could literally walk and probably potentially knock something over. I was in there that long, and I had good balance and stuff like that, so I was good. But Ridiculous, but that's not the point. Bruh. I know I could probably change my SIGs and certain stuff out, but I don't really think that SIGs and certain stuff like in a game, especially on 2K. But I'm about to go back to what I was saying. Um, Animations and certain stuff, it's just not. I mean, I probably haven't changed my animations around that much to be much of a shot creator, I'm thinking. But I don't think it's really representative. Like, I can have okay animation, I can still do fine. But there's a lot more stuff you have to do, relatively speaking, to get open. But give or take, you just have to do what you gotta do. But back to what I'm saying, a lot of stuff, I honestly think certain stuff is cheaply made, and then certain stuff, like, honestly, you gotta be careful. Especially moving certain stuff like antiques and boxes, certain stuff, because if you think about stuff is fragile. Like, I don't really try to buy too many things from certain places, and that has nothing to do with certain stuff. Like, the thing that I probably say that's happened to me a lot recently is certain stuff just being messed up from getting it like from USPS and stuff like that. That they will tear your stuff up in a minute. But if you honestly pay for certain stuff, like honestly speaking, a lot of stuff should be handled with proper care. But that's not the thing. I know people talk about bumps, certain stuff. Like the first PS4 that I got was defective. It had the blue light issue. I felt like that was ridiculous because and the thing about my package and stuff like that, and especially the thing that I didn't understand most too is that I sent my PS4. I looked at certain stuff. I sent it back to the manufacturer, but I did not get my PS4 for like. I'm not even sure if they even gave me a new PS4. It was pretty much my same PS4. I sent it back to the manufacturer. I didn't have my PS4 for like 4 months. That was like when the game first came out, around the time like 2K14, around that time. So I went back to PS3 for a little bit. It's around the time the Origins came out for Black Ops 2. It's around that September mark. Well, not September mark, but what you call it. Yeah, September, like, I would probably say, not 2014. That was probably more so. I definitely know that I used my PS4 controller on my PS3, but relatively speaking, I don't see how that was out of bounds, but okay. He should have made that, but I think he got a horrible jump shot anyway. But we'll try to get a triple-double, hopefully. But relatively speaking, though, I don't know, man. Like, playing these games and certain stuff, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of these games is not doing that much. Relatively speaking, I mean, the thing about me, I've been on this game like 5 days, relatively speaking, and I really haven't. I may have logged in to get some rewards and certain stuff like that, but otherwise than that, there hasn't really been anything that made me want to keep playing the game. I feel like the only game that I've really probably taken into consideration to even playing, I mean, Call of Duty World War II is okay. I'll put it at that, but modern, I don't think that Call of Duty 2020 is coming out. So you might have to be stuck with Modern Warfare for like, maybe not 2 years, but I think a year and a half. Because if you think about it, there's almost been no news for any game at all. Mortal Kombat, Call of Duty, let's think about some other certain stuff. 2K. I know people talking about Battlefield. Honestly, Battlefield is not really even a bad game, relatively speaking, but everything's all relative in my honest opinion. This Battlefield is definitely going through some phases. Now, the one Battlefield game that really was terrible, it was that Battlefield where they had the cops and robbers. I think it was Battlefield Hardline. That game was doo-doo. That game was doo-doo. I signed up for the beta and everything, and I have not played Battlefield ever since. That was a downgrade. Because to me, at that time, I felt like they were experimenting. That really makes a lot of sense. Because to me, they tried to be Rainbow Six in a sense. Add something new, like zones and certain stuff like that. And then they had that heist thing where you had to secure a large amount of cash and stuff like that. The maps and stuff was too big in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like the optics and the certain stuff like that, the actual, I would say performance, graphically okay. At that time, sure, I could see it. But the mechanics and the gameplay, lackluster. To me, you'll never get a game completely packaged at $60. I know people, they're not gonna well, honestly, a lot of stuff is crowdfunded, like Save the World, but we're not gonna really get in that today. Because people that more to make their money, it's just that, you know, a developmental team is not going to spend but so much money. They're going to be on a short budget. A team maybe consists of about 10 to 15 people, if that. A lot of games and certain stuff, they should have hired testers to figure certain stuff out. Like 2K19, I definitely 100% believe they should have had testers test out 2K19 for what it's worth, because I'm not saying it was bad 100%, but the shoving, the post scoring stuff, getting OP year after year. I feel like certain builds and certain stuff were good for 2K to have. Like, I think the most OP builds on probably 2K was Playmakers, because you really didn't have anything. You really didn't lose anything. You really didn't give up anything. I think Playmakers are still overpowered. You really don't see Playmakers. You just see certain builds. Hop steps and certain stuff are just OP. Like just the way certain stuff is just like the mechanics of the game. You know, you're moved a certain way. I mean, that's part of the game, I do think, but there's just no balance. You can have perfectly good badges. You can have decent certain stuff. You give people access to too many things like speed. Speed is one thing. Defense, I feel like every year since you kind of gotten lackluster certain stuff. Like I remember 2K16. I know a whole lot of people probably get tired of me talking about 2K16, but 2K16 at least you had access to certain stuff. It wasn't really OP. Like the first mistake I probably made with 2K16 is making a 6'7" shooting guard as my primary build. And then I made the same exact build as a point guard that was 10 times better. Same build and everything. Same weight, 6'7", 225. He probably had 74 lateral quickness, and that's pretty terrible. 70 ball control. Like something terrible where he got stripped a lot. And then I just stopped that player. I got him to a 90, and it was pretty much over at that point. I used my coins and certain stuff and start building. I went to Kroger, got myself like a $20 PlayStation card, and I worked on that player. So pretty much worked on him in the summer. So got all my badges, but I kind of miss 2K and the way it used to be. Like you didn't need $50 to max out a player. It was maybe like $20 max or 80K VC, but it's all about the money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that in a sense, but when you have a bad track record and the payout and stuff is terrible. I mean, this year is kind of better, but everything's all relative. I dunked on him. Oh my God. Dennis Smith Jr.'s free throw is terrible. What's this man's free throw on? That's the most terrible free throw animation I've seen by far. To me, the thing about games too is that I don't know. You pay for a game, I think you're supposed to get content, not for free, but at least to a point where it's supported. Normally games and stuff is not quiet about, certain stuff, but the pre-orders or, exclusive content. To me, certain stuff should be packaged as advertised, like 2K. Yeah, I don't think they do really a great job with that. I think the last 2K that I really enjoyed, relatively speaking, and you didn't have to spend money on it, or you got a preview of certain stuff, but you never get that again. It's like the Gauntlet. Gauntlet was good because you could try out new cards. You got one player. I think it's like at least got one player that you didn't have, and you play like 10 games and you didn't move up or something like that. You got a decent reward. Maybe not a good player, but it was like a board and you stack it, and then you get certain tier card. But relatively speaking, I'm not really impressed by some of these games. I'm just not. Wow, they really took away my takeover. I didn't even have it. The NBA bubble, in my honest opinion, I don't really agree with that. and especially UFC. I don't I don't have anything really against UFC. I just have a problem with like securing an island. I mean, think about Dubai. Dubai's not necessarily an island. And since they have man-made islands, certain stuff like that, there's nothing wrong with that. But um, buying an island, just secure for a fight, and then I don't know, man. Not mad. I'm not hating on that, but you give or take some of the best fighters and stuff like that. They doing certain stuff like John Bones Jones. I remember when that man went into rehab because he was doing cocaine and certain stuff like that. I mean, obviously everybody got some type of issue or some stuff like that. But I think the biggest thing too with certain stuff, you kind of have to be taken aback with, like, if you think about it, you're getting hit in your head. You know, you could have CTE. You have a shelf life with at least professional fighting, at least that is. Because there's a number of, like, I would say even with combat sports, there really hasn't been any type of thing that's really breaking box office stuff, like the purses and certain stuff for fights, even purses and stuff for golf. It's not really that much, relatively speaking. There's not anything to draw. You haven't really had any competition out here. I mean, Deontay Wilder, sure. But I feel like those type of fights, you know, it's just hype. Anthony Joshua, hype. I think they're great fighters and certain stuff like that, but relatively speaking, I mean, once you get to a certain point in the professional thing, I know the promoters and certain stuff like that, they have their funds, certain stuff they have to market the thing, secure a location. I think that mainly there's a class of boxers and certain stuff that came and went within a certain time period. Definitely have great fighters, certain stuff like that, but I mean, Terrence Crawford is one of them. People talk about Pacquiao. Pacquiao's getting old. And honestly speaking, there's a lot of boxers and certain stuff that I think they came and went. They fought for too long, and then, I'm not saying they're washed up, but let's think about a fighter. I can name one right now. Bernard Hopkins, when he got knocked out the ring. He just went into a fight. I wouldn't even say. I think certain fights are definitely shaved, honestly speaking. There's no way that you go into a match, get knocked out the ring, and talking about you got pushed. No, you got knocked out the ring, pal. That's just greedy. That's just greedy. No, a lot of people not in their tip-top physical conditioning, relatively speaking, to be out here fighting, but or peak form, I would say. Because once you, like, I think certain people, they class out or certain stuff like that. There's people who definitely not made weight and certain stuff like that for fights. Maybe they're a few pounds overweight. I feel like diet and exercise and certain stuff is good, but some people just undisciplined. It really doesn't matter how you look at it. And what I mean by undisciplined, you know, changing coaches and certain stuff like that, or technique. I think people say Canelo Alvarez. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He's a tactical boxer. I mean, Tyson Fury, he's pretty decent. It's not necessarily about knockouts. I mean, it is and it isn't. Because it's really about power punches and body shots, like what percentage, you know, if you're tactical, what you're doing. Obviously, people stuff, they get knocked off points or headbutting, holding, unnecessary holding. It is what you call other stuff. It is what it is, in my opinion. But if you think about boxing, boxing is, I mean, it's not necessarily been the same. It's probably a bad idea that I shot that, but we made it. That's probably not going in. But I definitely think that a lot of stuff too, especially with the sports, especially combat sports, you definitely know, like, there's people and stuff that had to retire because they mess up their hands. Obviously, footwork and stuff has to be good for fighting. I definitely know that. Like, your footwork definitely has to be good. You have to be able to, like, stand on your feet, move. But there's a lot of people who change coaches and certain stuff like that, conditioning. You know, you can't train for like a couple weeks before a fight, and I think that's what Deontay Wilder did. Um, I don't think that taking a loss is necessarily representative if you're bad as a fighter. I think you can't definitely put a half effort into really training, diet, win. Think about Deontay Wilder's fight style. My honest opinion, it's definitely a power puncher, but at the same time, you use your energy within the first 7 rounds. You know, you can't go toe to toe with somebody for 12 rounds, relatively speaking, and use most of your power within the first 3. I mean, you got to fight tactically, so think about that. Once you do that, I feel like you kind of have an edge, but because in my honest opinion, fighting, especially combat sports like UFC, in my honest opinion, it's like boxing, kickboxing, and certain stuff. A lot of people, they have their own certain stuff reach. But I think UFC is a little bit too extreme. People break people's bones and certain stuff like that. I don't really watch UFC. Never had the desire to watch UFC. I know there's a lot of stuff or channels that people use to get into professional sports or professional boxing, but boxing in itself is not really. I don't say it's not profitable, but for what it's worth, certain stuff like that, you know, you mess up your hands and certain stuff like that. You have broken bones. You can't come back from that. Or your hands and stuff is deformed because you had so many surgeries. I think that's pretty bad. Because once you get to a certain point and once you get to a certain age, there's only but so many fights you can really do. I think Mayweather's okay, but the thing about it, I think Mayweather is good. And someone said Mayweather is not taking an L. He did take an L when he was an amateur boxer, though. But he beat the person when he turned professional. That's the only loss he's taken. But I think he's gotten some close calls, relatively speaking, but he's still a good fighter. I don't really think that losses are representative of how good or bad a fighter is, relatively speaking. But like Mike Tyson, he's definitely up there. Some other people. I think Riddick Bowe, toe to toe with Mike Tyson. I think top five. Um, but the weight classes and certain stuff that people have to maintain. There's nothing hard about that, but wow, he really passed the ball. That's crazy. But if you think about it, like pay-per-view paying for a fight, I'm not against that, but there's a lot of stuff too. Like people want to go to bars and watch a fight. They don't want to watch sports. That, I mean, some of these gigs and stuff is just over because of COVID. But you know, honestly speaking, people get laid off left and right. You know, you don't have $50 to spend on a fight or $75, $100. It is what it is, in my honest opinion. You can't sustain something if you ain't got the money, relatively speaking, because if you pay, I know like bars and stuff like that, they charge like, you know, $30 or something like that for you to watch the fight, and then, you know, people buy booze and certain stuff like that. They buying wings, they're going and doing certain stuff. So if you do that, you add that up, a party of five, $150. There's nothing wrong with that, because I mean, people need to, obviously, you can't go and sit in some place and watch it for free, but at the same time, they have a multiple TVs, so there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think, at a standpoint, that, I mean, it's honestly certain people's choice whether or not they want to watch a fight or they get a link or watching a bootleg stream of somebody streaming the fight. People getting hot water for that, sued, but for the most part, I don't think they sue people. It just depends, because if you're a high-profile person, you tweet out a copyright link, yeah, you probably getting sued. Or you get like a DMCA notice. Think about that. I don't know. There's not really been any undercards really fighting, especially on in boxing recently. Really haven't seen that much. They really, like, nobody's talking about boxing like that. I think Mayweather is good. Mayweather's the only person that can get the box office numbers and a purse, a legitimate purse, like 150 million. Because I think a majority of the time these people are settling for maybe like between 8 and 20 million, and then maybe the promotion groups and stuff like that is probably getting like 20% or something like that. Fighters off the top, they set up the press conferences and certain stuff like that. But to me, a lot of that stuff is just theatrics. I think the certain boxers and stuff, I mean, they don't really have to like each other. We see these tense press conferences. It's about making money. I think people can be good. Maybe they're not the best of, like, maybe there is hostility, but I feel like some of that stuff's theatrics. Because, I mean, if you think about it, you think about Mayweather and a couple of other his opponents, they getting in arguments up in up in each other's faces for like a certain number of interviews, and then they talking at press conferences jointly. I mean, it is what it is at that point, but to me, I think boxing and certain stuff, it's okay, but I really don't tune into it that much. I know people talking about UFC beta for how they got Anthony Joshua and certain people in. The thing about it, I don't think there will be a fight night, a new fight night, relatively speaking, because you have to think about licensing. Nobody, like, I know that some people probably want millions of dollars to be in the game. Some people probably seriously want millions of dollars to be in the game. And it's not the fact they don't want to be in the game. I feel like certain people get lowballed too. But like dead fighters, they have to contact the state to be in the game. Who do I think are some good fighters in the past? I mean, you have certain good fighters. I think certain division. I think heavyweight's probably the best that you're going to get. But I mean, there's other fighters too. I think they're just as commendable, certain stuff like that. We have some English boxers I think pretty decent. But then again, like I said, injuries and certain stuff like that. Nassim Hamed he's pretty good at boxing. 36-1. You know, someone would probably say it's Mayweather, the face of boxing. Give or take for high-profile fights in person, sure. I mean, he is practically boxing. There's no big fight, really. The fights and stuff is just, you know, when Mayweather went to Japan to fight that kickboxing thing, I mean, that wasn't greed. I mean, he had to get the money. But people talking about McGregor and Mayweather was supposed to come back and fight in the octagon. That wasn't going to happen. I honestly legitimately believe that wasn't going to happen. And it hasn't. It's probably never going to happen. I know people talk about Mayweather being at tax issues. Honestly speaking, there's a lot of people in tax issues. That's not pocket watching, there's just a lot of people in tax issues. You got accountants and certain stuff, but people be stealing money. Simple as that. Maybe not necessarily stealing money, but it's not good financial records. Because me, I really don't care about money. I'm just simple. I can be. I don't talk about money. Because me, there's a difference between someone who has sense about me. Money's a concept. Why do I say money is a concept? Because, in my honest opinion, if you have a whole lot of faith, then I would say making money, doing stuff. Nothing wrong with that. I just feel like at a certain point, definitely you gotta manage your money well, in a sense. What I mean by well, it's not anything bad in a sense, but two for dunks. Like people saying that staying in 5-star hotels or going different places. I mean, 5-star hotels and stuff is fine, relatively speaking, but 5-star hotels aren't really worth the price. Let's just not be saying that to be saying that. I mean, if you think about it, service at 5-star hotels is maybe, I would say, mid to low tier, honestly speaking. If you got to think about it, because if you pay a lot of money for a service and certain stuff like that, and if you think about it, like, let's think about sandals. Like, I like sandals in a sense, but sandals, it's just, price is too steep. What I say, the price is too steep. Like excursions and certain stuff like that. Place I think is just, I don't know. I think it's just weird in a sense. I think hedonism is just weird. If you really think about that, that's just weird. Different strokes for different folks. That's all I gotta say. But whatever floats some people's boat, hey, none my business. But there's really not a place for kids at all. It's just too much stuff going on. Me, everything's all relative. It just is. Like, if you had to think about it, a lot of places and businesses and certain stuff like that, they got steep prices. And, like, to me, I see people make some dumb mistakes, like renovating a building and stuff like that. And, you know, people are making money, relatively speaking, but they just didn't see what was going to happen. And what I mean by what's going to happen, lease didn't get renewed. A fire and stuff happened, people's business, and they were out for a while. The food quality and stuff going down, management and stuff like that, non-existent. To say a few things. That shit look terrible. But like, in all honesty too, you know, people talk about let's get to work. Here's what we're gonna do. Like, think about too. Also, people, me, I really don't live for other people, like, in a sense. I mean, to live for people, you're never really gonna get the satisfaction of anything. Always having to prove a point, or this and that. Me, I could care less. Like, to me, it don't really make that much sense. Like, to buy something. What I mean by buy something is like, it's like someone buying a, let's see. People talking about Protect Philippe. Like, if you buy Protect Philippe, there's somebody who don't even know what that is, or something like that, talking about I just bought me it because of like a rapper. Somebody says Protect Philippe. To me, honestly speaking, paying 180,000, you can't tell people what to do with their money. I'm not mad about that, but I would never spend $180,000 on a watch. Regardless, you don't even see Jeff Bezos and stuff wearing that type of stuff, or talking about this. You don't see Bill Gates talking about that stuff, so, or even talking about certain stuff. You really don't see them saying or doing stupid stuff. Because, I mean, the thing about it, if you talk about Mark Zuckerberg, relatively speaking, he's done some stupid things, relatively speaking, inexcusable things. Trying to get people, he's trying to sue people in Hawaii about building a home. He bought land out there, and he's trying to get people, trying to sue them, get them off there, so he can try to build like a compound, multi-million-dollar compound. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're sitting up here, you don't even own like these actual people's homes. You can't try to build and force people out. You can't do that. Or build property and stuff that like basically evicts people, because that'd be constructive eviction. You can't do that. You really can't. That'll be a multi-million-dollar lawsuit if we try to keep on going forward with that. As simple as that. You can't do no mess like that. But me and my sister was talking about that, like, people talking about Protect Philippe. Protect Philippe is like $80,000 or Richard Mille. It's definitely like $600,000 watch. That's people's price range, so they want to spend $600,000 on a watch. That's them, but relatively speaking, some stuff to me is just about really, I don't know, it's not about theatrics, that's just irresponsible, in my honest opinion. Or just like, buying certain stuff. Like, you don't buy something. I know people talking about people buying a home with OnlyFans and certain stuff like that. That's their business. I'm not mad about that, but certain stuff, like, I think people need to stop glorifying certain stuff. I'm not hating on that. That's people's business. But there's just certain stuff that I don't feel like, in a sense, that you can do. No bad deed goes unseen. I'm not trying to be spiritual here, but anything like that, or religious, but to me, I feel like certain stuff, that I feel like the three biggest things it's really going to get. I think the three things that pretty much hinder people from doing certain stuff: drugs, dependency, and I would say drinking or denial. So those are like three things. And certain stuff that people hinder people from doing certain stuff, like, or I feel like you got people living two different truths, or some stuff like that. Or living foul. What I mean by foul, doing certain stuff. Like, people talking about OnlyFans. OnlyFans is like, OnlyFans has a bad reputation because we already know what people out here doing. I don't really care about what other people doing. Focus on certain stuff. But I just can't really sometimes take people seriously in a sense. Or sometimes I think people lack the capacity or sometimes about certain stuff. Like, honestly, you don't get a car and certain stuff like that. Like I said, the thing about certain stuff, you don't have to get certain stuff in the sense, like I said, you don't see Jeff Bezos or people like that, high caliber people. Not saying they don't own cars, but you don't have to hear people saying how great they are. Stuff like that. They're just doing stuff regardless. And then like people talking about, why am I studying business and stuff like that at school. I mean, I study business. It's as simple as that. Or what you gonna do with your degree. There's a lot of people really too concerned about what I'm doing. I mean, relatively speaking, there's no really harsh feelings, but I just get tired of that. I'm talking about like, says if you talking about the real world is really not even a hard concept to grip. You have to earn for your keeps and certain stuff like that. I get that. But certain people who ain't even really done anything, relatively speaking. I don't really try to be cruel or saying harsh stuff, but sometimes certain people gotta take a look in the mirror, realize what they've done. Like me, I'm not the type of person to complain about anything. If I take a L or something like stuff, I'm legit take a L. Honestly, certain stuff that people do, they're responsible for it, regardless. Like, if you, let's say, like someone's in a hole financially because they did something. Like, okay, someone has a $60,000 a year job. They get a car that's, let's say, $37,000, stuff like that, because they feel like they need a new car. I don't really care that much at all, stuff like that. But they go in the hole financially because they have to make payments. They can make the monthly payments on it, but at the same time, there's a lot of stupid stuff that people do and they don't realize it's stupid. Like if you live in a set location, you pay, let's say, $1,500 for an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, stuff like that. You already know that, that's pretty steep. Like the location that you're at, you got amenities, certain stuff like that. But you decide to go to a place that's, $200 to $100 a month. I mean, a lot of stuff that people are in, that's because of their own wrongdoing. A lot of people don't see it like that. They don't come with a sad sob story. Do I feel sorry for some people? Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I'm not really flip-flopping, I really don't be flip-flopping. So, certain stuff is just not really good. But people do it anyway. Or like, for instance, I told somebody, I think that, the justice system in the United States is messed up. But sometimes certain stuff that people do is inexcusable by like a lot of means. And someone gets like, 15 years for armed robbery charge, stuff like that. That's on them. I'm sorry as I could be, family or not. You get 15 years behind armed robbery, and you talking about that some BS. Somebody got 8 years for armed robbery. Is that really BS? Because you got other charges. I don't believe it. That's not me just saying that. Be saying that. Certain people, they come from a certain cloth, and I mean, people talk about the parents. The parents ain't got nothing to do with, why somebody came out a certain way. and doing certain stuff, because other places people would be what you call executed without a second chance or nothing. Now, somebody could probably get about 12 years. I think people should probably at minimum get like 12 years for armed robbery. Um, I think that's fair. All things considered, because you think about it, you can't really blame certain stuff. Certain stuff is inexcusable. It's just inexcusable. I don't think people should definitely die, but they definitely should get a long sentence so they can have some self-reflection. But honestly, there's people do certain stuff and they think that, they don't have consequences or repercussions for it. I mean, I tend to be a fair person, so, but a lot of people don't see their wrongdoing or try to twist stuff a certain way for sympathy. I mean, to me, when somebody has a track record for something, it's hard to believe some stuff come out of their mouth. And I'm being as truthful as possible here, so. Like someone committed an armed robbery at 16 and stuff like that, and they got between 5 and 7. Maybe they did stupid stuff like got some assault charges and stuff like that. Yeah, but once you start doing stupid stuff and you haven't changed and certain stuff like that, you go to prison, you go to jail. I really don't have no type of compassion and certain stuff like that, because the thing about it, judges and certain people know people. They've given them plenty of chances to get stuff right or try to change stuff around, give them probation. And if someone does something stupid, stuff is inexcusable at a certain point. And unacceptable. So, I mean, give or take, a lot of stuff really just stands for certain stuff. And then a lot of stuff too, relatively speaking. At a certain point, like I said, there's just certain points where people know what their career opportunities are. Like if someone's they was doing stupid stuff, they got a charge when they're 16, and they can't get a job or stuff like that because they did something stupid, or breaking and entering and certain stuff like that, or a robbery charge. I really do not feel any type of compassion towards certain stuff, because at the end of the day, people want to talk about, what they try to make a less thing of it. Like, no, you don't get to make that. It's not up to you to get to make what you think and then try to justify it. Like, no. Like people, for instance, people doing drug trafficking and stuff like that. Nah. I tell people stay away from drugs. Point blank and simple. Or anything, true. Stuff like that. People got drug charges. There's just people just do stupid stuff in high school. You see them 3 years later, they got felon possession of cocaine and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff, people think that they're street smart, talking about there's perks of being street smart and book smart. Well, sometimes people are neither. I'm blunt as can be about that. Some people are neither. Because think about it, I think that people definitely should be recidivism. I believe people should be reformed in a sense that's reforming instead of what you call it, not useful time, stuff like that. But a lot of people just don't got no skills. I think everybody's good at something. But I think that most people, they're not trying to do that. Like, some of this hood stuff, it's just, to me, in all honesty, people talking about the no snitching rule. Honestly, some of this stuff is truly laughable. Some of this stuff is truly laughable. Relatively speaking, because you think about it. Like, for instance, someone talking about there's some BS, like someone went to prison for a long time, they're a convicted felon, and they done something. Like, they go out here and get a gun for protection and stuff like that because they done gave some valuable information or something like that, or they still doing some pretty questionable things, stuff like that. The thing about when people are under probation, they're not supposed to have contact with people and stuff like that they had with before they landed them in jail in the first place, and people still be doing that. In my opinion, everything that comes down to somebody is really on their action and consequences. There's really a lot of stuff is really inexcusable. That is my whole philosophy behind it. And certain stuff too. Like, people talk about Mexico, how Mexico is poor and certain stuff like that. Mexico is pretty poor. They talking about drug cartels. Drug cartels and stuff, they have to be dealt with. But at the same time, you think about it. If someone goes to jail in Mexico, go to prison in Mexico, they're guilty until proven innocent. And Mexico's prisons are pretty bad. I know people talk about drugs and certain stuff like that. I don't really know anybody there's not really that many people that do drugs are successful, like, by any means. People who live a rough life look rough. People say they earned their stripes and their stars, they're not a show for it. And then you think about it, your life is wasted. You spent 20 and 30 years behind bars and stuff like that. 15 years, you lost most of your life. And, you could have been doing something, but that's on you. Like, honestly speaking, a lot of stuff's on people. I do feel compassion for people who actually trying to get right. They made bad choices, but sometimes certain people, they just bring stuff on themselves, and it's sad in a sense. Because a lot of people, I think a lot of stuff like stems to other stuff. People really lesser things people don't think about. Like, people got behavioral issues, or in a sense, a lot of other stuff too. Abandonment issues, certain stuff. No type of active or supportive parents by any means or stuff like that. Or just active roles at all. Or like overly involved parents, like in terms of like making sure kids and stuff don't get suspended. Like, there'll be people doing stupid stuff, like especially in school. I can name a number of people, stuff like that, or I know of people who done plenty of stupid stuff, and they're in prison, stuff like that. Some of the stuff, I feel bad for, like, because obviously people went downhill, but it's one thing to be going downhill in high school and they're not getting it right and certain stuff like that. Like, people in behavioral support team, like, the bad kids at school. Relatively speaking, I mean, this is people out here, especially, I mean, they're not cool, certain stuff like that. I mean, certain stuff is really not even about being cool at all at school. I could care less. I could really care less about a lot of stuff. I'm being honest. It's not me just going out here saying that. I could care less. Because, like, end of the day, somebody can call you a nerd and stuff like that. But what are they doing? Could care less. Like, you become a doctor and stuff like that. Who cares? That's not me being on cocky or anything like that. That's just me, honestly. That's real life. That's not arrogance either. I don't mean that with arrogance. Or people talking about getting rich. When I think about that, I'm not the type of person to be talking about certain stuff, talk about money. If money consumes you, I feel like the less you are, the what you call it, make money. And some people just don't know how to conduct business anyway. I'm just being honest. Like for instance, if let's think about something. Like if someone got some information, like let's say something like if someone deals with computers or something like that, they have the idea for a shop to sell computers or computer repair. They bring in somebody who really doesn't have anything. They're trying to do a nice deed and stuff like that. At the end of the day, the person doesn't really do anything. They're just there. The person trying to look out. And to me, business and friendship really cannot. It doesn't mix. Because I know, like, some of my professors and stuff like that. Like one of my professors that I had, like last year, rather. She said, what you call it, she had a business and stuff like that. She had a partner, and this partner had wiped out the whole account to save his failing business, stuff like that. He wound up, what you call it, getting later down the line because he was doing some shady business stuff. Like because she had a joint account, he could go and access the stuff, take out the money for personal stuff. He was doing some shady stuff, like business practices, and he wound up going to federal prison. Like, I think he was lying on like W-2s, W-4s, and stuff like that. And her first business wound up failing because of that, because she took like money that she worked from jobs and certain stuff like that. I mean, another thing people need to think about: do you know people as well as you think you know people, rather? But like I said, business and friendships and stuff really, to me, it really don't match. A lot of stuff, in my honest opinion, does not mix. Don't mix. Like, people talking about Forex and stuff. Forex is like an MLM. I don't believe in Forex. People talk about have all this access to information. They're paying for courses. There's nothing wrong with paying for courses. I'm not mad about people are trying to make money off a course I think is valuable or get this information out or try to market it. But my biggest thing is, I don't like when people try to come across like in a sense their whole business models come across as a friend, stuff like that, and they're under delivering and over promising on something they cannot like completely divulge, and like you're not going to give like the whole. It's not as simple as people describe it as. Because to me that's disingenuous by a lot of means. That shouldn't have went out. But Yeah, you shouldn't have to spend or access to certain stuff after a certain point. Like $200 for a course. Well, I still think about people talking about certain stuff, like people talking about drug dealers, certain stuff like that. That no. People talk about weed. I definitely do not believe weed and stuff is for everybody. And certain stuff like that, or people should go to jail behind weed. Um, I don't think people should go to jail behind weed, but honestly speaking, it's definitely not for everybody. I stay away from drugs and stuff like that. There's like people who do weed and stuff like that. They're not even doing anything, relatively speaking. Tough to guard Devin Booker on the quick. With size and speed, he can be very dangerous in these sets. Now let's go to the sideline and catch up with our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge. That's not even me being funny or anything like that, but that like a majority of the people who using drugs and stuff like that, they come to school under the influence. What are they doing? Honestly, nothing. Pretty much. That's not really a vague statement. Stuff like that. I know people who use weed in college and stuff like that, but relatively speaking, I mean, there's some people who can do well, and there's just certain people. That's not something that people can do every day. And it's honestly speaking, that's not something people can do every day. Because someone said, what you call it? Like there's certain people who just are just terrible students. Honestly, you meet some interesting people in college. Honestly speaking, you meet some interesting people in college. But that's not the point. Like my professor, like my accounting professor, if someone came in the building smelling like weed, stuff like that, or alcohol, they'll get kicked out and they had to go and see the business dean. And if you did it a second time, you almost would get expulsion. She'd drop you from the class. Like one person, there was like only a couple of weeks away from graduating, and they found what you call weed in this person's room. It was drug dealing, the gram scales and certain stuff like that. That's just stupid. You could get a charge behind that. So, to me, there's certain stuff you just can't justify. Honestly speaking, you just can't justify. Because other places, man, like I said, some people ain't gonna get a chance. They're just gonna be executed. And that's just sad. But I mean, it's all about choices. Like Philippines, someone's caught with drugs, stuff like that, they get the death penalty, and it's enforced, 100%. But I think like other places too, just have a whole lot of other stuff that's going on too. Like, in a sense, no place in the world is completely perfect. There's just a lot of stuff that really is bad. There's no trying to say otherwise. They ain't gonna sub me out. That's crazy. I knew he was how to make that though. That was a bad shot, and I know exactly I didn't release that correctly. Or it's like people having kids in high school. That's pretty bad. Or people complain on honestly, where people at in life is honestly up to them. I don't really try to make no excuses or no exceptions. except for like some poor people. But you know, I feel like sometimes you really can't help everybody, and I legit believe that. You know, if you make a bad heart, you're gonna have to lay in it. Like, or it's like, for instance, like let's say you have like a family member and stuff like that. They lack the capacity to understand why their choices and stuff land them in a place. Like, let's say they need to get from point A to point B, and they always post it up with people and certain stuff like that. You know what? I don't understand just certain stuff, how people can do certain stuff and not see how why they're not further ahead where they are in life. They're there for a reason, and they know that, but they're still gonna do it anyway. And correspondence and stuff like that, I could care less in that sense. Try to be fair as possible. Just a lot of people just don't see certain stuff, what it is, and why they're not like me. I don't make excuses. Like, I'm not the type of person to do that. I really don't make excuses like for myself. Like, in a sense, I really don't do that. Like, if I do something stupid, like for instance, like let me think about something. I had a bad professor teaching math class, stuff like that. I took an L in that class, but at the same time, I wasn't doing what I needed to do, relatively speaking. And I didn't fail the class. I mean, I got a C. Nothing wrong with getting a C. No, you don't get all C's, but you get one C. That's not even bad. So a lot of that stuff, I'm still thinking about a lot of stuff just not healthy. Relatively speaking, there's a lot of stuff just not healthy. But you know, it really bothers me that sometimes, you know, people can do certain stuff. Like people do just enough. Like, for instance, like people do weed and stuff like that, and they'll say how that's problematic. They're not doing anything else. And they don't really have $3 and stuff to their name. They like get like a like something as simple as like a bus ticket to get from point A to point B. That's bothersome. Or like, for instance, people bad with money. It doesn't matter. Anybody can be bad with money, to be quite honest, but Johnson outside. Or like, let's say for instance, a person has a gambling problem, and they always make bad decisions and stuff like that. I could understand why somebody, or like for instance, in a sense, why something could be bad. New York shooting well, 52% in the third. They came to play offensively in the second half. Murray, no good. I'm trying to get what you call this assist. I need the assist. That's why I'm not scoring anymore. And a long wind up and strong follow through on the one hand jam. He's not gonna mess that one up. Already one of the most popular guys on the team. But more likes the more you make passes like that. Or people talking about people speaking stuff like, you know, I think certain stuff is ridiculous. Like people look up to celebrities, not saying celebrities and stuff haven't, you know, done certain stuff that's good, but sometimes, you know, nothing that they say is completely good. You gotta think about some of the stuff they've done, inexcusable things. Like people elevate it to a platform, talk about something they have lack capacity to even comprehend. Like for instance, you know, someone does something stupid, and and they get 5 years talking about it was a BS charge. I don't really think certain stuff is a BS charge. Considering you got a track record, some people be getting lucky. Honestly speaking, truly, some people get lucky about certain stuff. But I think some people lack like understanding the fact that you could do something and you never getting out, or 15 years behind bars. Like, you can do something that not even money can get you out. Like money, like people think money can solve issues. Money can't solve everything. But it's gonna take a lot of money to cover someone's AZZ. I think that's just some of the stuff just goes on. But then again, I'll probably play one more after this. I'm probably gone. So. But I legit believe everybody's good at something, but people just not using their skill set, relatively speaking. Like, okay, like people getting suspended every day or something like that. Not every day, every chance they can get. We'll do a couple these things and Sava. Trader. Well, let me think about it too. Well, like for instance, like let me think about something that's, I don't know. So that's what people do. They don't see anything wrong with it, but like, I really question sometimes people's logic. Honestly speaking, like some people talk crap about the job. They're not the greatest employee. Wonder what they know where further in their life. Like honestly speaking, they're not a good employee. They don't go to work on time. They talk junk, like consistently go late. Maybe the problem is not the job. Maybe it's you. Honestly, sometimes I just like, bruh. Sometimes I do find fault with like jobs, stuff like that. People work, but majority of the time, some stuff is just come back on people. Honestly, like for instance, if you like don't show up to work on time, you talk about their last job, they hate it so much. Um, I'll consider some jobs like BS jobs, honestly speaking, but like for instance, like if someone's like a fry cook at McDonald's or something like that, no, that's a good job, relatively speaking, in high school, but that's not cutting it. Like you make $20,000 a year. That's, I mean, I hate to put it. I mean that is terrible, but at the same time, you know, the job perspectives that people have is pretty bad. Like if you got to think about it, paying like paying attention in school and certain stuff like that is important. Like some people can't even read and write, and they skip class. They're reading like at a third grade reading level or a sixth grade reading level, and certain stuff like that. They get D's, or they think they're gonna go to a trade school or certain stuff like that. Honestly speaking, you know, I don't discredit anybody's job. Whether I respect people, I get the same level of respect to a janitor as a CEO. Like it's just about perspective, but at the same time, everything's relative to me in a sense, because especially if you know somebody they weren't doing the work in school, stuff like that. They took a L. Let's say someone has a kid or something like that. I mean, having a kid is a L. Especially at this age, I'm gonna be honest. Certain stuff like that. Like a dumb thing I also think that people can do is get like a grill. Like the thing about getting a grill and certain stuff like that, you know, people don't even have the best dental hygiene. They don't brush their teeth. They got pyrene, pyrene in their teeth. Just nasty. It's just nasty. You know, one time I saw someone with horrible dental health. Anytime they speak, their gums was bleeding. That's just nasty. Just imagine, but you got a grill in your mouth. That's just nasty. You know, sometimes I feel like, to me, you don't ever try to like. To me, if you do something to try to like impress people or please people, you never get the satisfaction because you're always going to continuously keep on doing that or trying to set a bar, set an example or something, and you may not be able to maintain that. And then after a while, that movement stuff is going to get old. Honestly speaking, like if you know that certain stuff is already bad as is, and you continuously keep doing it, like let's think of something. Let's say someone gets like a presidential Rolex. That's like $40,000. That doesn't even include taxes, certain stuff like that. Doesn't include, and then you may got warranty, stuff like that. But I know someone to have a watch and certain stuff like that, and it broke. Watches and stuff break and certain stuff like that, but it's ridiculous. You know, you would never see somebody like me spending $40,000 to $50,000 on something that's just a novelty. Honestly, don't need to. Don't need to. I really don't. Paying money for certain stuff just isn't good in a sense. Like Like mine, like someone talking about Audi R8. Audi R8 is a nice car. Nothing about it, like nothing about it I don't like, but at the same time, I'm not gonna spend no $200,000 on no car. The thing about certain stuff, I don't think people be thinking. It's like you don't get a car, you don't know the features and certain stuff about it. You don't even check the owner's manual, or you got certain stuff in your car and certain stuff. You don't get an oil change. You ignore certain stuff. Your car needs to be serviced. People do that all the time, but it's ridiculous. You don't get a car and you can't afford the maintenance, but you know. Or I seen somebody do something mad ignorant, stuff like that. Someone had a Lexus, right? And it was talking about, you know, you put just regular gasoline in a Lexus. You don't do that. You're gonna mess up your engine. You're gonna mess up your engine. And then again, that's gonna be on you. Just put premium gas in there. That's why I say you don't get certain stuff to put on the outside show for people, and you really lack the capacity to understand that, you know, maybe and you really had to think about certain stuff. So, I mean, I'm objective all the way around. You know, I don't make excuses for certain stuff. Like, for instance, people talking about certain stuff like going to the clubs and certain stuff like that. The thing about that, a lot of that stuff gets old. A lot of people know that stuff gets old. Like me, I don't try to make excuses for certain stuff. To me, certain stuff people talking about strip clubs or clubs in general, you know, people are there for the like wrong reasons, and people and stuff they get killed because even they just are bystanders, because you know you got criminal organizations operating and just being seen just do certain stuff. I mean, to me, strip club and certain stuff to me is defiled and corrupt, just as pretty much as anything else could be, but it's more prevalent in all honesty. So just like just imagine that someone's like a married man in a strip club. I mean that's a L. Who does something like that? That's ridiculous. But that it doesn't stop there. But there's a lot of stuff people don't think about. I think about a lot of stuff. People doing drugs and stuff, and strip club stuff, and bruh. Honestly, I do not know anybody. I cannot name anybody who's seriously successful, who has like, you know, issues with drugs, alcohol. Don't know anybody. But people still gonna do it. It really don't matter. People still gonna do it regardless. But besides the point. I should have used takeover. Besides the point. Like, yeah. To me, I could care less about certain stuff. Like, I could care less. You gotta think about it. You know, certain stuff, I guess that's people's style or whatever, but, you know, end of the day, you know, some people just not gonna live to see certain stuff. Like, you know, it really don't even matter. Like, you know, drugging and drinking and certain stuff like that. People live a hard and rough life, look like it, and you know they don't live long, and that's pretty sad to say that, but it's true. So we'll go ahead and shoot. I had to change this to base. I don't really like it that much. It's not bad, but it's just not mine. Embiid can't do that, bro. And too, like people talk about, you know, people talking about they're gonna sue a baby mama or stuff like that for a payment. You know, talk about child support. Women are trying to put men on child support. I don't believe so. You know, some people they just not smart to begin with anyway. So you know, the lesser of two evils, in my opinion. You know, certain stuff isn't really built off anything, and you know, it is what it is. People can't do anything about that. So I don't believe everybody's good. I don't believe people have the best motives at all, regardless. Anything pretty much, but that's with anything pretty much. But people talking about it doesn't take $300,000. People talking about I think it was a Blake Griffin, how his baby mama or whatever gets $300,000 a month for child support. You know, you can't be mad if something's court mandated. You don't pay, you're going to prison. End of the day, you know, watch you laying down. Like, that's just as simple as that. And then, you know, the thing about it, and I don't see how people don't get it. No, certain people they just don't be thinking regardless. Like if you know that you're a high caliber, a high profile person, get with a chick and get her pregnant and stuff like that, she's set. So, you know, it is what it is at that point. But some people don't mind. Some people don't mind getting a girl pregnant or having a child, stuff like that, because of just what you call it, the fact that with token basically. But at the same time, you know, $300,000 a month. I don't try to I really don't care about celebrities that much, in a sense, because in the day what they got going on, that's their business. You know, I really don't care. That's the problem I think with a lot of stuff. People are overly in tune with certain stuff and really not. Like certain people just not living nothing anyway, in a sense. Not even religion, but some people like spirituality. A lot of people just not living anything. And choices and decisions, certain stuff. You got to put in two different avenues. Just saying one thing and living quite the opposite. Just like, for instance, just like Whitney Houston saying she wasn't on drugs, stuff like that, or stuff like that. And there's what people's choices. You know, you can't be on drugs and certain stuff, and you know, in a what you call it, you know, in a bathtub, you drown. People can also drown on land if they drink too much water and stuff like that. There's other stuff we don't think about too.
David in stretches, he was absolutely down. Greg, he's left an excellent performance tonight.
This team needs his contributions. When he's right, he makes winning plays time and time again.
Hey, green, that green. All right. We'll think about some other stuff too, which is pretty bad. Or, like for instance,
Outside, Simmons. Scott finds Harris. Another three.
oh, people talking about hitting a lick and stuff like that. You know, that type of stuff. People do that. They're just asking for it because, in my honest opinion, I feel like there's nothing wrong with people what you call defending their property. Honestly speaking, nothing wrong with that. Like if someone, what you call it, get shot dead for robbing or breaking someone's home, I honestly feel bad in a sense that it has to come to that. But you know, everybody in the world is not good. It's just simple as that. Like someone's breaking someone's home and try to steal a TV, or people kicking in people's doors and certain stuff like that. Yeah, I got a problem with that. People got the right to defend their home. Or like people, what you call like people are chain snatching. That you know that's ridiculous.
Can't get it to go. Philadelphia shooting 48% from the field. Not bad at all. And Simmons kicks to Harris.
Okay, switch that.
Simmons got his fourth assist in this one.
I think I got a glass skin lockdown, I think. I don't 100% know, but I think I do have a glass skin unlocked. But, man. Or it's like, too, like people at the gas station like that, asking people for $20 and stuff like that, fill up their gas tank. That's nobody's job, honestly speaking. It's nobody's job. No, I don't expect anybody to do anything for me at all. At all. I believe in helping homeless people, like getting them something to eat or something like that, but a lot of stuff stems from people having like certain stuff going on, like mental issues, behavioral health issues and stuff like that too. Substance abuse issues. Like, you know, people not eating and certain stuff like that. A lot of stuff stems from people, honestly speaking. I know that's not, I'm not trying to be vague by saying that, but a lot of stuff people get into, it's because of their own doing, honestly.
Talking about the Philly fans, they were even booing their team in that conference semifinal round against Toronto.
Yeah, they got nervous with the season on the line. You can't take it personal. In Philly, they love you just as much as they boo.
And he gets the bucket.
And this is a testament to the concentration MV possesses. I mean, he's able to finish despite getting bodied up.
Now here's Payton. No points in the game yet for him. Here's Randall.
That should have went in, but okay.
The 76ers trail by 15. Here's Simmons.
Like for instance, too, playing like I don't know.
Back to Payton. Some nice passing by New York here. To the paint. Here's Randall. Good, and the assist goes to Shea. Randall's got 5 points now in the quarter.
The big body of Randall using those broad shoulders to protect the ball in traffic.
The drive by Simmons. And the shot is long.
He just can't find it. Touch this corner. He's got to keep grinding on, looking for the best shot possible.
Three-pointer. He got it again. Sensational.
My goodness. 50 for the ace.
Yes, he is.
Or certain stuff. Like someone's making like a $15 an hour job too. Or some stuff like that.
Good D by Shea.
He's not an easy man to stop. He's attacking the basket. The D doing everything he can.
Passes it to Portis. And he uses the glass on the layup. Portis has got his first cup.
There's some things you just
Certain stuff too.
that's changed with tremendous awareness.
Like, too. I think it's something that I do know. Oh yeah, like I know somebody who had a what you call it, 2-year degree. Was doing pretty decent, and they're working. They're corporate burnout, but besides the point. Wasn't taking care of business.
Fighting his way to the rim in this one. A lot of points in close. Yeah, slicing through the gaps in the defense. I mean, getting many of his buckets in the paint.
It's Randall and Robinson at the 4 and the 5.
Oh my God, that's not me. It's not my fault.
And it's Shea at the 3 spot.
Hey, change. This is not bad, but this isn't that good.
He kicks it to Pete. Back to Shea.
Huh?
Peyton outside. Shea outside.
Or like, for instance, too. Let's think about something. To me, certain stuff like, in all honesty, the clout. Like I know somebody. Like there's this kid that I play with on Fortnite. He was talking about how he gets bullied and certain stuff and beat up. I mean, obviously he should be defending himself and certain stuff. Like there's just certain stuff that I don't think should even be going on in school and certain stuff like that. And you know, to me, certain stuff is just ridiculous. Honestly speaking. Honestly speaking, a lot of stuff's ridiculous. If I had to think about it, like,
Now here is Smith. He's covered closely.
now there could be people doing certain stuff, and then, like, one time, like, I've been said this, like, there one time somebody did something, and the punishment this person got wasn't even the correct punishment. Like, somebody did something, it could have been 2 days suspension, but the person wound up getting sent home for the day. And it was a black assistant principal who did that. I guess he had some leniency, but you know, certain people, you know, you have to be pretty bad. If you're going like people who are at-risk teens and stuff like that, maybe they don't have like a good supportive household and certain stuff like that, or a strong figure in that house that kind of corrects that. Because I know certain stuff, and especially with me, I never did anything bad, stuff like that. But I know if I did do something bad, what you call it, that's my behind. So that was the starting point, especially when I was growing up. But there's definitely some kids, stuff like that. They shouldn't even be in school. Like stuff that they do is just that bad to an extent. Like there's somebody who did something stupid. Like when I was a freshman at like high school, we had this new building. Someone threw like a stainless steel thermal cup at someone's head and got mad. They got charged with assault. They had to go to court and everything. Like how stupid do you have to be? Like how stupid do you have to be? You're mad that you got charged with the assault. Like how stupid do you have to be? And then the officer saw it. There's people with some serious issues. Like there's people with some serious issues. You talking about he doesn't like school. I mean, the thing about school and stuff like that, you should obviously defend yourself and stuff like that. Um, I think the no fighting policy and certain stuff. I never got suspended. Certain stuff like that. I know one time I was like high school, like somebody tried to do something, like sit up here and try to like push me, and I checked this person up on the locker room. I seriously pulled that person by the shirt and jacked him against the locker. Like, bruh, I don't play. And then one time too, I say that somebody like was sit up here chewing on ice. They talking about I didn't give him a piece of gum. And then they kept on throwing ice, and I told them to stop. I slapped the crap out of that ice cup. And people didn't think I was going to do anything, and I slapped it out of the ice cup. Bruh. People was laughing. Dang. Someone said, imagine if I punched somebody. I slapped, that thing went across the room. That thing went across the room. I slapped the crap out of it. But I never had a suspension, never had, disciplinary issues and certain stuff like that. But there's just certain stuff people do, just in general, that don't make any sense. And they think they're going to get away with it. Like, no, you're not. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, some stuff is just sheer stupidity. Honestly speaking, the other stuff is sheer stupidity, bro, if you think about it.
So that's the breakdown as it currently stands. We'll be keeping you all updated with the latest info and, of course, our final list of contestants as we get closer.
Yeah, if they don't invite me to be a judge,
I had to use that.
Now 8 seconds separate the two.
I probably shouldn't have used it because
in a big way here to regain some confidence.
And they double up in B. Back to Burke. Launches a three. And he's good on the three ball.
like I said, somebody was throwing like a stainless steel. That was ridiculous. And they got mad. They got an assault charge with that. Yeah. They tried to appeal that because it was in a playful manner. I don't think, no, that was no playful manner. You threw a stainless steel thing at someone's head and gave a concussion. They did get suspended. They should have really got it expelled, to be completely honest. Because there's just certain stuff that people do. I don't know what is it with the school system. There's a lot of gray areas and certain stuff. People should be just suspended. There's certain people who, like, I don't even understand how they even allow it at regular school. How they're not even in alternative school. And people who've been into alternative school, I hate that stereotype, but the majority of the time it's true, is that they're not doing anything. 9 times out of 10, the people not doing anything at all. They have substance abuse problems, certain stuff like that. You see them, they're like they're in age, and they're only like 20, basically like they're on crack or whatever. They look terrible. Drugged out. It's just ridiculous, but that's on them though. The crazy thing is too, there was a kid, I swear to you, I told you about it on this stream. He had been a bad kid like for a while, like in kindergarten. I had kindergarten and like first grade with him. He got sent to alternative school like in first grade. Imagine how bad you have to be in alternative school. And then one day everybody got tired. Like the whole first grade beat this kid up. The whole first grade beat this kid up. Everybody literally jumped on this kid and beat him up because he had just been doing stuff. You got tired of him. The thing about this kid stole my SpongeBob blanket. I'm so deep because we had like nap time. He stole my SpongeBob blanket. That's funny. Just imagine And his dad and stuff had been to prison, had been to jail multiple times. You know, people talk about survival thing. People gotta do what they gotta do to eat. I mean, that's a choice. If you get 15 years behind bars or something like that, I don't want to hear about certain stuff like you did an armed robbery charge. You got that. You're not coming back from that, man. You're not coming back for that. I feel like a lot of stuff comes down to people's choices. I do believe some people change and certain stuff like that, but if you make a wrong mistake and you go to prison behind it, it's kind of that really is on you. Ain't nothing more to it than that. I don't hope nobody go to prison, but there's certain stuff people do. It's inexcusable. Inexcusable. Dunk this ball. I can't dunk with this player like that because maybe my tendencies and stuff is low, but oh well. But I'm seriously thinking about this kid. I think he was on the other day, but I played with him on Fortnite. He just said he gets beat. So he gets beat. Well, he get beat up a lot, basically. But certain stuff like that. He's not looking forward to going back to school. I think he's like in like 7th grade. I'm still thinking about it. Like, I mean, certain stuff that happens. Honestly, thing about it, I think it's inexcusable in a sense the way school system and stuff is operated because certain stuff I know people to have done certain stuff and the school system should be getting sued because you think about it, you have some people with bad behavioral health type stuff, probably mental health issues and stuff like that. Besides the point. Get back to what I'm saying, but a lot of stuff is just bad. How did I break a free throw? I don't know how I break 2 free throws rather, but what time is it now? It's 2:10. All right, I'm about to get off into this, but besides the point. Certain stuff's ridiculous.
Great job of screening there. Nice job to take it to the rim and get the finish.
I know I did not shoot that good, and I made that. Payday. I got that game, and I have not really played it. Or there's been a number of stupid stuff that people have done, or like the behavioral support team has allowed people to do who got bad track records and certain stuff like that in school systems. But school systems should be getting sued for some of the stuff they have allowed, or just the school itself should get sued because it's just unsafe. Like for instance, you got people out here doing like simple afraid. That's a charge where it's like a group of people fighting, but it's people instigating a fight. And it's like where they can't control it. It's almost like a riot. It's like a group of like 13 or 14 people fighting and certain stuff like that. And people do stuff like that. I mean, that's inexcusable in my opinion.
He's on a mission, closing in on third place all time in scoring. Bolden, good.
And they're passing the ball very crisply here.
New York's gone to three-point range for 12 of their points in the final quarter on 4 of 5.
Some kids should just got outright expelled from school. Just like
Shea outside.
I know they even try to get people in these these schools like alternative schools. Alternative schools terrible, but you know some of these people's projector wasn't high anyway. And I hate to say it like that. That's honest.
There's 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter of this.
I thought I could make it. I wasn't a bad shot selection. I just took it.
Here's Simmons. Rebounded by Knox. On the wing. No good on the shot.
That's not even cold, really.
For Philadelphia.
I can't be cold shooting 17 to 22, but
Here's Harris. It's good. The assist that time for Menace.
Not just a jump shooter. Harris is also comfortable looking to score from these spots, too.
And it's caught. And it's out of bounds to the Knicks as we
you know, another thing that I really don't like too, especially with certain people, especially some of these teachers too, they be trying to be cool with these bad kids, letting them roam the hallways and certain stuff like that. Like you're not supposed to be like. Here's the thing, you're not supposed to like. To me, you're not really supposed to be cool with kids. That's just, you know, who does that?
It's time now to go courtside as we send you over to David Aldridge from the sideline. David, take it away.
Like my teacher, not my teacher, my sister used to substitute for this school. This school is a D-rated school, and this teacher had in her notes that she lets this kid roam around to that was ridiculous. And that's a serious problem when kids and stuff are roaming around like school with like nothing. And the teacher allowed that to happen. Ridiculous. But so that's ridiculous. Besides the point. Like you can't take certain stuff serious at a point. I might play one more game and I'm about to get off. So at least I'm about to play a blacktop game for sure. See if I got any VC. So okay, I got a decent amount of VC. $5,722. What would I be if I upgraded? Probably 91. Yeah, 91.